Thank you. Thank you. Once again, Roland Grimes, the Roland Grimes, not just sports entertainment show here at Everlasting Life in Capitol Heights, Maryland. I have a special guest with me today. As usual, actually all of my guests are special, but this one I've actually been chasing for about 24 months now, and I finally was able to get my hands on her thanks to some help from some other wonderful folks in the music industry. So, she and I actually had a chance to cross paths a while ago, and she told me about this magazine that she has that's dedicated to the 50 and over marketplace. And in essence, the magazine is called 50 Plus, the second half. And sometimes I get my words twisted a little bit, so she'll correct it for me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Patricia A. Brown.
Thank you.
Patricia, thank you for joining me on the set once again.
Thank you for having me.
You all won't know this, but before we got started, we were doing some mic checks, and Patricia was singing a little bit of Dennis Edwards and Levi Stubbs and some other folks from Temptations and the Four Tops. We had a good time, so thank you for warming us up now. Now she's sweating, so
yes,
so y'all just ignore that. Tell me something very quickly. I want to know, what is it inside your brain that made you decide to spend this time creating a magazine for the 50 plus person?
Well, there was nothing out there other than AARP, if I can say that. There was nothing else out there. And I am old school. I love old school. So just going into the grocery stores, and you know, when you get up to pay for your groceries and you see the magazine rack, there's nothing there for us. You know, so I said, okay, well, let me try this.
Okay. Now, how long ago did you have this idea to start this magazine?
It started in 2007.
Okay.
I lost my mother in 2008, so I kind of stopped everything. But then in 2007, I interviewed the stylistics, and I was happy about that. And then my mother passed, and I just stopped doing everything. But then in 2009, January, I started up again.
Got fired up again?
Yes, indeed.
Look, magazines, you know, when I see them, I pick them up. It looks like it's an easy endeavor. However, I had a chance to work on a few local newspapers in the Syracuse area, African-American newspapers. And I found out that even with today's technology, it's not as easy an endeavor as it looks. Well, like most things, once you get the end product, it's supposed to look effortless. But while you're doing it, you know, there's a lot that goes into it. Before you put an edition out to the public, what kinds of technical things do you have to do to get that product ready for us to consume?
Well, you have to find a printer, someone to print your magazines. You have to make sure you have the right applications, which means like InDesign, Photoshop, all that type of stuff. And number one, you have to know how to use those applications. And you have to make sure your equipment is up to date, because you have to record everything. And then once you record everything, you have to transcribe. And me, I don't know how to transcribe. I never learned and really don't want to. But you have to get someone to transcribe for you. So it is a lot of work. Photos, everything. I had to go out and buy a brand new camera, you know, so it's a lot to it. It's a lot to it.
Now, you obviously, this is not all you do for a living.
No.
So somehow you have to fit this around your other life.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you get to sleep? That answers that one.
5 hours last night.
Okay. Now, how often does your publication release?
It's quarterly.
Okay.
And it's by seasons.
When you say by seasons, define that for us.
Fall, summer, winter, and spring.
Duh.
I didn't say it in the right order, but...
She's talking. Duh. I'm thinking football, basketball, baseball. You know what I was thinking. So thank you for that clarification. Now, in terms of getting some of the material for your magazine, do you find people are very willing to interview with you? Are you scared, or what's going on?
Absolutely.
Absolutely scared, huh?
No, absolutely. People are now coming to me, but when I first started, oh, absolutely, it was hard. A lot of folks was very apprehensive. They wouldn't, and as far as the artists, they didn't know me, you know. And my husband is a musician, so I didn't want to get the artist off of his back, you know. I wanted to go out and do it on my own. So it was kind of hard in that sense, yes.
Now, you would think that people would want whatever kind of exposure they could get to promote themselves, but that's not the case.
No, I think what it is, Roland, there's good stories out there and there's bad stories out there. And so the artists don't know which one you're coming for. You know, they don't know which one you're looking at, you know, because my magazine, what I try to do and where I'm going to stay is positive. I don't even want to do negative. A lot of people say that I should, you know, it sells magazines, but they're doing pretty good.
Now, when you say sell magazines, how much does an edition of your magazine cost?
Right now, they're $4 an issue, and that's a hard copy, but we're also on Amazon.com. On Amazon, I think they're selling like $5 or something like that on Amazon. And but you can go on the website and you can order, because we're also an online publication, so you can read the magazine right there online.
Really? The entire magazine?
The entire magazine. As a matter of fact, once you sign up for a subscription, then you'll get, if you want hard copies, you'll get all my past copies.
Okay, so you sign up for a subscription online?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, was that a very difficult process to create subscriptions online?
Well, the website itself, absolutely. But I'm pretty good. Let's see. I am a software person. My husband is hardware person. So I'm pretty good with creating those things, but I went out and got somebody else to do it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, super. Now, that kind of leads to the next question. How many people are involved with just putting one edition together? Right now I have a total of 6 interns working with me and myself, so it's about 7. Okay. College interns?
Absolutely.
Okay. And the college interns, many of them are not 50 and over.
No, they're not, but you know what?
What? I'm about to ask you.
What I like about that?
What about it?
Young people bring good ideas.
Okay.
You know, and so, I mean, they bring a lot to the table. My graphic designer, he's 19 and he lives in Detroit, Michigan. Excellent, excellent.
Really?
Excellent.
And he's able to capture the essence of what you're, obviously I'm asking this question, but he's able to capture the essence of what you're trying to deliver so that it's relatable to.
Oh yeah, he gives me ideas. He brings his brother, which, okay, the magazine is 50 plus, the second half magazine, and it caters to those 50 and older. It caters to those 50 and older. However, if you have an article that you want to write about and it relates, I don't care how old you are.
You can submit it.
Exactly.
Submit it to you directly?
Exactly.
And sometimes you'll publish those articles.
That's right.
Okay. Now, before we take a break, I want to ask you what kinds of things right now are really trending in the 50 plus market. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say health related issues, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Tell me what's really trending nowadays.
Oh yeah, health, like you said, health, fitness is another one. hand dancing, Zumba. It's a lot, just a lot going on for it. As a matter of fact, Roland, I'm gonna tell you, when I started this magazine and started getting into, because I think I was maybe 48 or 49 when I started the magazine, but once I got into it and people started contacting me to come out and visit this, I was surprised. I was actually surprised at everything that's going on in the 50+ community. Okay. There's a lot out there.
Well, I think one of the reasons why I chased you down for as long as I did is I was very interested in perhaps doing some collaborations with you through our program. One of the advantages that you have, not only do you have the magazine, not only do you have the online presence, but you also just launched your Blog Talk Radio.
Yes.
And when you couple that with some video footage and some of the things that come from some of what we're able to do, you can actually include that and make articles and documents and stuff like that right out of that. So I thought it'd be great to collaborate. Having said that, is collaboration often a difficult thing to do in your industry, or do you find it to be relatively simple and easy to create strategic partnerships?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked it too.
But you have to have someone that wants to collaborate with you, you know. And I don't, you know, you and I, we were talking earlier,
right? And
in the D.C. area, Maryland, D.C., Virginia, it's hard out here.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay, so I would love to collaborate with you on anything. Okay. Absolutely. So
we'll start with a song. Hey, y'all.
Oh,
in the meantime, she's going to grab a copy of the magazine and bring it up for all of you to view. We're going to take a quick station break and pay some bills, and we'll be right back on the Rolling Grounds. Not just sports and entertainment show. Sit tight.
Let me know when you're ready.
Mm-hmm, I'm ready.
How's it feel, Raymond?
I'm enjoying it.
Like this side feels lighter and light. Just want to touch on it, but it does feel lighter. And I love the way.
And we had a regular mineral-rich magnetic mud mask.
And everyone keeps telling me one cheek looks higher than the other right now. This face does feel lifted. This one feels dropped. I need to lift this one up. Mm-hmm.
We call that a natural lift without problems.
I feel it.
Yes.
I feel it.
Once again, back at the soulful restaurant known as Everlasting Life here in Capitol Heights, Maryland, with my good friend, Miss Patricia A. Brown. I am your host and producer of the Rolling Grimes, not just sports and entertainment show, seen here online through our website at grimesnation.com. Before we left, Patricia and I were talking briefly about what's happening in the Washington, D.C. area, but it also relates to some of what we were talking about throughout the nation. Now, when you do dynamic entrepreneurial things in Washington, D.C., such as your magazine, it has been my observation that this area seems to be not only slow, but sometimes very regressive in being able to invest, ingest in anything that is not of the mainstream caliber, already established, grassroots, however you call it. Whereas in places like Baltimore, Chicago, Oakland, Los Angeles, Atlanta, where you find similar metropolitan demographics as you do Washington, D.C., folks seem to be a lot more animated and interested in that which is homegrown as opposed to that which is imported.
Yeah, it's the opposite. They're not interested in homegrown.
What, in the other areas?
In the other areas. Okay,
right.
Sorry.
In the other areas, they seem to be a little more interested in what's indigenous to that area, what's homegrown, as opposed to Washington. It seems like folks kind of don't get as excited about that which is produced from our garden, much more interested in that which is imported from someplace else. It's just my observation. I'm completely off base. What's been your experience?
No, you're not off base. I would have to agree with you 100%. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong with the people in the Washington, D.C. area.
Well, let's go back historically. Let's go back historically and let's calculate a couple of very simple things. The first thing is this. To my recollection, there's only been one thing that's been produced in the Washington, D.C. area that has ever gone national, and that was the George Michael sports machine. Even go-go music, you know, has not been played in terms of the national mainstream. The George Michael sports machine is the only thing, and in contrast, you look at places like Chicago that have produced Soul Trains and Oprah Winfrey shows and other formats, etc., that have gone on to international acclaim. We don't find that same kind of momentum coming out of the Washington, D.C. area. Now the question is, you said what's wrong? I'm not even sure if it's what's wrong. Why aren't things that are produced here able to go viral, national, international, like you find out of New York City and other places? Why do you think that is? I think people have a hard time of accepting others. That live near them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I'm a little jealous if your ride's gonna be bigger than mine, or?
Yeah, you know, when I interviewed Jerry Butler told me.
The singer?
Yes.
The Iceman?
The Iceman, yes.
Gotcha.
He told me, he said, Pat, I want you to remember one thing. He said, you will know when you have made it when your hometown respect you. When you get respect from those in your hometown, then you know you've made it.
You know, it's interesting because in the Bible it says a man is without honor in his own home. It's almost like, I got a couple of homes out there. It's almost like if you produce something and you take it someplace else, they're a lot more interested. But even with that, I see, you know, the music that came out of New York City, those folks loved it. They banded around it, and it became the national phenomenon known as rap and hip hop. My theory has always been that one of the things that goes on in the Washington, D.C. area is the government is the major employer. Now, you know, as we talked offline, you know, all of us at one point in time probably had a good government job. But sometimes what happens in places like that, you don't have the drive, the desire to take the risk as a community, because as an entrepreneurial community, because you don't have to. And sometimes you don't want to invest in others because you don't really need to.
Well, I think as far as the drive, I think some people are afraid to. They're afraid to step outside the box, you know? And I think anybody out here in your audience can start their own business, you know? It's about, you know, what you like to do. I tell people that all the time, you know, whatever, and you can't worry about, you know, who's not going to pick you up and what other people are doing. Because if you have a good product, it's going to sell. And if you know how to sell your product, when you're in your own business, you become a salesperson. Just like those people out there selling you insurance, you become a salesperson. So you have to get out there, you have to have passion, a lot of passion for what you are working on, and get out there and forget about those, you know, that's not supporting you. And just do what you do, and it'll come, it'll come. When I first started, it was so very hard. You know, right here in the D.C. area, it was so hard. I went everywhere trying to get people to support me. Nobody would, you know. So what did I do? I started traveling. I started traveling, going here and there, and you know, if you look at my magazines, you'll see a lot of the old school artists. You know, I had to. You know, I tried to start here in this area, you know, and get people to, you know, order the magazine, be in the magazine. Couldn't get it. Couldn't get it done. But soon as I traveled north and traveled the West Coast and Chicago and all that, Now they're coming. Everybody on my current issue is from the Washington, D.C. area. But I kept it moving. I did not look back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a little different spin in this conversation with you, Patricia, and I'm going to kind of put some stuff out there, that sort of challenges and maybe enlighten some folks along that basis. First thing you said is this. You said, or one of the things you said is kind of ignore what's not happening, focus on where you want to go, and then essentially just endure it long enough for it to come in your direction. Now, the endurance part sometimes is the toughest. Unless you have a significant other that's in support of, as opposed to someone who's resisting. Unless you have an employer that's not going to fire you because you're trying to do your own thing. And unless you either have paid off all the bills or you got them under control. Enduring that time for that stuff to come in your direction can be very difficult. Now, have you found faith? I'm listening.
You have to have it.
Faith in what?
Faith that you can put out. That you can put, as far as me, as far as I'm concerned.
Even when your spouse leaves you?
Even when your spouse leaves you?
I'm just saying to you.
Oh, you better have triple faith then. Okay. Because you don't want to stop. Don't stop. You know what I believe, Roland?
Well,
when you get to that point, when you're doing what you're doing, and things get so bad, because sometimes they would for me, and you have that thought, that I can't do this anymore. Well, guess what? The next 5 minutes just might be that door that's going to open up and take you to that next level. Right. Don't give up. Right. Don't ever give up. Right. Keep on going.
Well, I hear you.
Okay.
And I appreciate it. And obviously so does the audience. Now I'm going to bring it back again.
Okay.
At what point did you look at your potential losses and say, I can't keep doing this? And then you pushed on through it. And what allowed you to push through it?
You know what my losses actually were?
Because you got to give up something.
It was my health. Because not only do I own 50 Plus, the second half magazine, but I also own Tap Landscaping. That's a landscaping company. And my daughter, she has Panea Catering. My hands are in all of that. So, and then I started this Blog Talk Radio. So what happened was my blood pressure was the one that made me realize that I need to take it easy. So I took care of my health, and I'm doing much, much better now, and I'm pushing ahead.
Okay. So you caught your health in time?
I caught it in time, yes.
Now, the reason why I wanted to bring that up and out is because I don't want to give anyone the impression that if you decide that you want to take on a project such as I'm doing and such as you're doing and such as my next guest who just went in beyond the beyond, by trying to do her own school, that it's going to be an easy, well, look, we know it's not easy. That's not even the word I'm looking for. That it's going to just fall in place at some point. That you're not going to experience blowback. And that everyone who has created something from scratch that didn't exist before, it started with a thought, and for the most part, you were the only person on earth that had that thought. And when you are the only one, it's hard for other people to get your vision. Because they don't have it.
That's right.
It's your vision.
That's right. He didn't give it to you.
Yes.
That's right.
But yet you are trying to include other people in that vision so that they can contribute something of value to it, or they can purchase it. Because you either have to have some of both. You have to have some people that's working with you. And you have to have some people that's willing to purchase your product. Essentially, invest in what you're doing.
You have to provide a service to others.
Now, I'm going to go there. At the tail end of Black History Month this year, I'm going to go there and I'm going to say that statistically speaking, matter of fact, I just read on Roland Martin's website today that this gentleman had said that only 1.73% of the $23 billion in SBA loans have gone to African Americans, which represent 14–15% of the population, and has 1.8 million registered businesses. Yet only 1.73% of the SBA backed loans have gone to these businesses. And for the most part, it's going to be top heavy. It's going to be the majority of money going to a small few, especially those who have government contracts, et cetera, et cetera. So I've done community development. I've done projects related to developing things in communities that are predominantly African American. And I found out that, and discovered and documented, that financing is a problem, that mobilization is a problem, that self-hatred, self-loathing is a problem. They call it haters or whatever it is. But it's not even so much haters. You have people that are trying to actually assassinate you because you're trying to get off the plantation. So as you have to encounter all of this, what in the world would make someone want to continue to fight through that to complete whatever that vision is that they have? You said faith, I get that, but how do they navigate through that from your perspective?
Again. A famous artist told me one time, because like I said, when I started, no. Okay. But when I first started, I was getting it from everywhere, Roland. I mean, anything and everything was coming at me when I first started. But this person told me, said, if you have 10 haters, go out and get 10 more. And then get 20 more, get 30 more. Because actually, and it's true, the haters are the ones that keep you going. Because when I started, and I'm going to address your question, but when I first started, when I first started the Blog Talk Radio, I was so nervous that I could not even dial the PIN number because my fingers were shaking so bad. And my show, to me, I thought the show was awful. I thought it was awful. And I was ready to give up, And I said, once I heard it back, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do this. This is not me. It's not my arena. I'm going to stay with the magazine, something that I know I can do, and I'm doing it behind the scenes. So I'm going to stop. So one of my guests called me right after I went through this, right? One of my guests called me and told me that she had feedback about the show. And she said that somebody said, oh, the moderator, she ain't all that. Well, the show wasn't about me. That was a personal attack on me. It wasn't about me. But you know what happened because of that?
What?
I looked at my husband, I looked at my co-host, and I said, we need to prepare for the next show. So you got to keep going, Roland. You can't. It's hard. It is so hard out here, and there's gonna be days, and there's gonna be times when you just want to, just sit back and say, I can't do it anymore. But again, I say to all those out there that have a business or anybody thinking about starting a business, do it.
All right. So on that note, before we open up for questions, I do appreciate that. We're going to open the floor for questions for Patricia. Let me say this to you very matter-of-factly. You and I had a conversation a little bit earlier, and I said something to the effect of when you decide to go into business for yourself, we, especially as black folks, have a couple of things that's working against us that works for other groups of people. For example, we don't function as immigrants. So what happens is you have a project, I have a project, he's got a project, and we don't collaborate. We don't all live under the same roof and eat from the same bowl. We don't share resources so that the cost of living goes down. We have a 4-bedroom home when you have 3 people sleeping in it. Whereas immigrants have a 4-bedroom home and there's 30 people sleeping in it. And part of the reason why, for whatever reason, we don't dig each other enough to live with each other. Heck, that's just immigrants. breadwinners. We can't stay with our spouses.
Yeah.
You know, so then you split up these homes, you split up the children as well. You know, so now what happens is we have done everything possible to annihilate our opportunities for enterprise because we don't have cohesive units under the same roof getting it done. I think one of the second things, if memory serves me correct, that I mentioned is one was function as immigrants, you know, and two, getting off the plantation. You know, for whatever reason, we think that doing business is an option. It's not. We all do business. It's just whether or not we're going to be in the manufacturing end or we're going to be on the consumer end.
Right.
Whether we're going to be in distribution or whether we're going to be in wholesale. Whether we're going to be in retailing or whether we're going to be on consumer end. And if you look at African Americans, I think statistically we're 99.99% consumer. And then we spend 99.99% of that consumption with everybody else but us. You know, so what happens, it's not a matter of, see, someone had said something to me recently about, you know, are you making any money? And I said, I don't worry about making money. And I said, why not? I said, because if I made money, I'd go to jail because it's illegal. Let me restate it. If I actually made money, I would go to jail because it's illegal. See, I can never go out and make money. Money is like a river.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Money is just a river. It flows. What happens is some can flow in my direction, and I can direct where it goes.
Yeah, that's right.
I can direct some toward the gas bill. I can direct some toward this. I can direct some toward savings. You know, but it's going to go somewhere. That paper that's sitting in my pocket has no power because it's just sitting in my pocket. So unless I sow those seeds from that flow into something, nothing's going to grow.
Right.
You know, Howard Hughes died, one of the richest men in the world, with fangs, claws, teeth, and hair, and he was rich to death, but dying rich because he had nothing to look at that his money gave him any quality of life other than it purchased some things and some people. But in the end, he didn't direct it toward anything that was going to give him any quality of life that kept him from going crazy. So I'm never going to make money. All that's going to happen is, I think sometime tomorrow morning when the markets open at 9:30 and close at whatever time, billions and trillions of dollars are going to flow through the river. And as they flow, am I participating in a way that allows me to direct some of it my way so I can direct it toward the people and places that I want to? I'm never going to make it. All I can do is help direct it. So those folks who understand that Bill Gates does not have $72 billion. You can't even show me $72 billion. It's paper worth. And all he's doing is directing where the value of it goes day to day. Doesn't have that money. Can't. And most wealthy people understand that you really don't own that money. You just own a representative value of it at best. Hey folks, on that educational note, I'll take a quick break and then we're going to open the floor for questions for Ms. Patricia A. Brown. Sit tight.
Where can I buy the magazine if I wanted to buy the magazine right now?
Okay, I'm on Amazon.com.
Let's say if I'm not technically.
Oh, well, well, you can purchase it today if you like, or I also have a P.O. box, and that's P.O. 50 Plus Second Half Magazine, P.O. Box 48252, Washington, D.C. 2002. You can send a check or a money order, and I'll send you all the copies.
Oh, so yours is not in stands. We basically get it by subscription.
Exactly.
And you mail it to us. Okay, so the way to obtain the magazine is to set up a subscription through Patricia.
Yes.
And then the magazine will come to you every quarter.
Yes.
Okay, super. Great.
Actually, I was in stores, but what happened, I was in News World on Connecticut Avenue, and the magazines were selling well, and they wanted too much money, so I had to pull them out.
They wanted too much of the cut?
Oh, yeah.
Good, but and that's just what they was telling you, they wanted you to pull out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sir?
So how well do you think if you distribute the magazine through churches or schools, how well do you do?
I'm sorry.
How well would you do if you were able to distribute through existing institutions?
Oh, I think excellent. Excellent.
How difficult is it to break into the churches and the schools?
Well, actually, my next issue that I'm going to do, I am going around, I'm doing the oldest churches in the Washington, D.C. area, the oldest churches in the Baltimore area, and the oldest churches in the New York area.
What are you going to do there?
What am I going to do?
You say you're going to cover them in the magazine?
I want to write about them in the magazine.
And that's how you get in?
That's how you get in.
There it is. Makes sense.
Or pastors too, you know, because what I want to do, you said good luck with that? What I want to do also is pastors, but I want to do pastors that are doing things for their community, you know, that are giving back. Yeah, so I want to do stuff like that.
Great. Great, nah, and you can, I'm sure. I am certain you can. Any other questions? Sir?
What made you start a blog?
Actually,
Blog Talk Radio. You have a blog or Blog Talk Radio?
Blog Talk Radio. Yeah. To tell the truth, I wanted to direct people to the magazine, and then not only that, I have so many people that's waiting to be in the magazine that I have promised that they would, you know, so I thought, well, maybe this is another avenue of getting them out there, you know, so I can interview them on the radio, and then let them know also that they will be in the next issue coming up. So, you know, just to keep them satisfied, because again, as Roland said, you know, I'm serving the people, you know, you got to keep the people happy.
All right, question?
How do you advertise in your magazine?
You can contact me, because I have a press kit and I have an advertisement list, so you can contact me and I can send it out to you. It's also on my Blog Talk Radio. You know, you have on the Blog Talk Radio, you have little slideshow. So I have that type of information there. But the best way would be to contact me.
How would you say you have grown since embarking on this endeavor?
I think I have grown tremendously, and you know what? You can see it by my magazines. I wish I had the very first copy here, but if you look at all my magazines, go online and look at my magazines, and you'll see the growth, you know. And today we're doing absolutely wonderful. We really are.
All right, folks. Yes, ma'am.
What types of topics do you cover in your magazine or your Blog Talk Radio, and are you open to other forums besides what you've already covered to this point?
Absolutely. We cover health care, we cover hair care, we cover fitness, we talk about Zumba, and that's an excellent question, because we have a talk show April the 20th, I think it is. We have Miriam Bay. She's running for city council out of New Jersey. She's going to be my co-host that day. And we are talking about people 50 and older and their chances of employment once you turn 50. Yeah, and then the other conversation is, we're talking to women. What we want to happen is, we want women to come on the show and to give us an experience that you went through, good or bad, actually a bad experience that you went through.
Don't pay no attention to me.
Oh, and we're going to dissect that negativity and turn it into something positive so that you can see the other side of it. Don't always look at the bad, because everything that's bad, you can turn it into positivity. It's your mind. So I hope you guys are doing this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, later. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was wondering, how connected are you to the school systems, and which area do you partner with? Is it just DC or Baltimore metropolitan area?
Actually, I'm not connected to the school system, but the magazine is all over. I hope the radio would do the same thing. As a matter of fact, the magazine is as far as Russia.
Would you consider?
Oh, absolutely.
Because right now, in partnership with the Kennedy Center, and we're working on a project called Peace Talk,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the children have original pieces. I was just wondering if you would be willing to open up.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll give you my card, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just kind of piggybacking on what she was talking about as far as touching on the school system, not really on the school system, but just kind of using the fundamental or strategic approach right now that a lot of campaigns and things are coming up and they're fastly approaching. So kind of just throwing that out there to give you that caveat to reach out to those political officials who are running very recently in the DC area to maybe get them on your blog talk radio and maybe even in your magazine. And then on another end of things, you said 50 and up, maybe getting a group of young ladies and men, 50 on up, that ride motorcycles, to feature them, talk to them on your blog talk radio, and feature them in your magazine.
Thank you. You know, it's ironic that you said that because Sarita Lee, the Register of Wills for PG County, and the Orphans Court Judge, Vicki Owens, they are actually in my next issue. And Sarita Lee has a motorcycle club called the Mustangs, and all the club members are all 50 plus. So I am in that arena there. And Sarita has also, I should say the Honorable Sarita Lee, I'm sorry. She's also been in the magazine talking about estate planning, you know. So, yes, thank you.
And I have a question. Has anyone ever approached you about producing a televised version of your magazine?
Absolutely.
And you turned it down, right?
No, I have not.
Okay. So,
no, I have not.
So, like, can I put my bid in?
You can put your bid in,
right.
and we can talk about it, absolutely.
Because we have we have the best format in the world. All right, any other questions? Aren't you glad you joined us?
I am, absolutely.
Patricia was nervous out her mind. All right, God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, put your hands together for my guest, Patricia A. Brown. 50 plus. We're going to take a 2 or 3 minute break. You guys can grab something to eat, and also Patricia will go around with her cards and mix and mingle. And I'll get my next